This is June 3rd, 2026 edition of Basketball Wednesday. Basketball sports segment. We are here, we are locked. Welcome into the video. Welcome in. If you're in the stream right now, again, just like every other sports segment, every other day, feel free to share your opinions, takes, and just join along as we're talking. If you're on YouTube, just enjoy. And so, yeah, let's get into Basketball Wednesday, June 3rd edition, 2026. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to review Game 6 and Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Okay, Spurs, Thunder. We're going to review Game 6 and 7 of that. And then we're going to predict and preview the NBA Finals. And then we are going to go over the NBA transactions for the past week. And then we're going to go over the WNBA standings, talk about them. Again, I'm sorry, I forgot about talk about the WNBA the last two times. I almost forgot about them again, but I didn't. So, talk about the standings, review each team, or the main teams here. We'll talk about that in a second. WNBA transactions in the past week. And then we're going to talk about the new college basketball D1 men's college basketball tournament format, the expansion of the tournament, how it's going to look, how it's going to be, and Andy Katz's prediction for how the teams that are going to be in it next year at this point in time. So we kind of review that. I really don't know much about that anyways, so yeah, so it'll be WNBA, D1 men's college basketball, and then that's going to be it. Are you guys ready? I think I'm pretty ready for this one. Let me do something real quick. Not gonna let me do it, I guess. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, it's fine. Anyways, it doesn't actually matter. It looks fine anyways. Let's lock in. Start with Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. Spurs dominate. I'll tell you exactly how it is. Spurs dominated this one. Let me pull it up on my phone so I can look at the stats. Don't know why I didn't do this like a second ago, but let's get it open here. Okay, perfect. They dominate the first quarter. Completely dominated. They come out firing in that first quarter. If you go down here to the play-by-play, Champagne hits a lead-off three, and they take it away from there. Wemby hits a three. He blocks a drive, gets a turnover. He hits another three, 9-2 Spurs early on. And then everything the Thunder do, the Spurs always have a response. They get a couple of stops. They hit a few buckets in transition. Forced a couple of turnovers, and then especially late in that first quarter, they took over, man. 26-foot three. Drive layup, and they actually turned it over, but then they turned it over again. But then they just keep getting it back. They force Thunder misses. The Thunder not capitalizing early in the first quarter, and then the Spurs take off later in that first quarter. Well, then heading in the second quarter, the Thunder actually do play much better, as you can tell up here. The scoreboard actually 31-25. They don't play that terrible in the second quarter. They start forcing turnover from the Spurs, and they're actually capitalizing in transition and in the turnover game, and that really allows them to take over in the second quarter. And then in the third quarter, the Spurs completely dominate from the get-go. It was a pretty slow start to the quarter. They were clearly a better team, especially in the second half of that third quarter. They were just Thunder turnover, Thunder miss. Three from the Spurs. They were hitting threes. They were getting huge finishing abilities, including dunks from that Carter Bryant, which was lit, by the way. Just dominant. And then that fourth quarter, they were able to hold off after that dominant third quarter. They were able to win the fourth quarter. Pretty even, but it was too little, too late for the Thunder. They just got completely outmatched in that third quarter. If you want to look at the probabilities of game flow via ESPN, according to ESPN Analytics, you can see right there in that first quarter, after Castle missed that three-pointer, it's actually about 50-50. You could tell here, right in that third quarter, around the 5-minute mark in the third quarter, that's when it really started getting taken over. Right there, you can see the score right here. Just watch this as I go down. 79, 70, and then just complete takeover, man. Like, complete, utter takeover. If you look at the field goal percentage, 47% to 37%. Thunder shot 37%, 25% from three. They had the same amount of turnovers, so it's not like they were really turning over the ball that much. It just wouldn't. They genuinely were just not hitting their shots. You look from the outside. Look at here, man. Look at them. They missed. Just all around, just miss. And even in the paint area, they just miss. And it's like, wow, they couldn't hit a shot. And then the Spurs are capitalizing. Bunch of shots in the top of the key. They were dominating in the paint down here in this area. A couple of middies around here. A couple of shots from over there. And you could really tell by the way this game went that the Spurs did this all at home, and they were looking dominant, and they were heading back to Game 7 looking to win. And Game 7, when I tell you it was closer, and I mean it was really close all the way through. Let's review Game 7. Spurs are coming off of this, but the Thunder were still favored, right? I mean, obviously. They're the defending champ. They're at home. It's Game 7. They're more experienced, right? They gotta win. We start in the fourth quarter. The first quarter, not the fourth quarter. The first quarter, Spurs come out fast. Wemby hits a quick 12-foot bank shot. And then Vassell hits a three-pointer, not a three-pointer. He gets a steal, then hits a midi. Chet responds, drive layup for Stephon Castle, and they just go back and forth early. 8-4 Spurs early on. A couple of misses from the Thunder. Wemby dunks it the other way. Great pass from De'Aaron Fox to find him. A couple of misses, a couple of blocks there. Wemby takes a steal. They can't capitalize the other way. Hunstein does capitalize. 26-foot through from De'Aaron Fox to 13-6 Spurs at this point. They get another steal. They can't capitalize. Shea hits a floater, and then in response, Julian Champagnie hits a awesome three-pointer. 16-8 Spurs. And then it just like that all the way to the end. It was 27-13 Spurs at one point off the 24-foot corner all-steal three from Julian Champagnie. And then the Thunder go on a bit of a run with their bench. They get the bench in. They go on a little bit of a run to end the quarter. Jared McCann hits a deep three to end the quarter, 32-25. San Antonio Spurs. If you're heading in the second quarter, obviously the most dominant quarter in the Thunder all year. They look really good in the third quarter. They were hitting the shots. They were capitalizing on a lot more opportunities. It really comes down to execution, and the Thunder did it really well in the second quarter, and they head in the halftime down by only 3, right? And then we head in the third quarter, and we want to talk about even. I mean, there's a couple of misses early, and then Vassell hits a big-time midi, and then Jay Will responds. I mean, it was going back and forth. Just who could get the last laugh in the third quarter? Nobody really did. I mean, it was 80-77 hitting in the fourth quarter, so it's very even. At this point, I'm like, the Spurs are looking better, but I believe that SGA and the experienced Thunder team could honestly steal it. Like, I didn't like how close the game was, and I had the Spurs winning. Like, I did. I had the Spurs winning, but I was like, I don't know. I don't like how close this one is. They come out. Wemby misses a free throw. Jared McCain hits a big time two-pointer. It's back within 2, right? And then Keldon Johnson has a huge three-pointer. Wallace responds. Couple of free throws. Alex Caruso misses a free throw. De'Aaron Fox the other way makes it pay. It's a 9-point Spurs lead at this point. 92-83 with 9:30 remaining in the fourth quarter. Casey Wallace responds with his third 3 of the quarter, but Wemby responds as well. Huge three-pointer. 13-4 Spurs run. It's 95-86. SGA misses a three-pointer, couple of misses, fast break layup for Keldon Johnson. It's an 11-point Spurs lead with 8 minutes left. And then the Thunder come all the way back. They really are working the way back. Champagnie, by the way, also crazy, 20 points at this point. They have a 9-point lead. Putback layup from Dylan Harper. It was lit. Thunder have to call a timeout after that one. The Hype, it's 11-point Spurs lead with 4:26 left, and then like, okay, this is where it take over, you know. SGA hits a big time 2-pointer deep midi. Dylan Harper 3-pointer with 12-point lead with 3:46 left. There's plenty of time, and then the Thunder keep going back. Casey Wallace has 5 3-pointers at this point in the third quarter, and then hits another layup to bring it back within 6 with less than 53 seconds to go. It's that Stephon Castle turns it over. Thunder can't capitalize, and then he turns it over again. And then again, this Thunder cannot capitalize. And then Vassell takes it away. He gets it. from De'Aaron Fox. The exclamation point dunks at home. And that's it. 111-103. Spurs win Game 7 on the road. Champagny, 20 points. Wembanyama, 22.7 rebounds. De'Aaron Fox, 15 points, 5 assists. Castle, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. A couple of bad turnovers late. Could have easily had this Thunder winning if they could have capitalized. Dylan Harper, 12 points off the bench. Keldon Johnson, 11 points off the bench. But for the Thunder, SGA, 35 points on assists, couldn't get it done by himself. Cason Wallace had 5 3-pointers in the third quarter, not good enough with that 17 points. J. Will, double-double. Caruso, McCain combined for 24 points. SGA just didn't have enough help, man. He had 35 points on assists. They should be able to win that, but they just couldn't get the job done, man. I'm telling you, they should really go get Giannis. They should trade their first-round pick and maybe another one in second or something. Whatever they need to get, but they should package up their first-round pick that they got from the Clippers that they have this year and package it for Giannis, because actually they cannot get it done themselves. This team's deep with a lot of good people, but they don't have two great players that could stay healthy. Like, you could say, oh, J. Will is healthy. He could have been there. Still, he only averages 17 points per game. That's good, but they need a second scorer that averages at least 20 points per game, and Giannis averages well over that. If they can get SGA and Giannis and still keep J. Will, I'm just saying. If my stream laggy, y'all, is my stream tweaking? Is my stream tweaking? So I don't think it is. I think it's my OBS. Anyways, but yeah, that's how that went. And the Spurs, the Young Guns, Wemby, Game 7, Julian Champagny, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson off the bench. You know, Devin Vassell hit a couple of big shots and a couple of big plays both ends of the ball. This team really combined to make one great team. They're young, they're youthful, they're energetic, they believe in each other, they love the game, they want to win, and the will really proved it. They have more depth, apparently. They had more talent that showed up when it mattered most, more than the Thunder, because SGA and J. Will, Cason Wallace were really the only two people that showed up consistently throughout the whole game. That's really what it came down to. Spurs youth booked their trip to the finals, and they will see the New York Knicks. Let me switch tabs here. Oh, why did I do that? That's not what I meant to do. Very, very interesting. Now we're going to preview and predict the NBA Finals right here, right now. I did not mean to click that one. That's my bad. Show screen, wrong button. Nice. Okay, here it is. The NBA Finals. It is here. It is the Spurs. It is the Knicks. Spurs are hosting, as you could predict. Here's the situation right now. Series averages, the points, 119.9 to 115.3 in favor of the Knicks. The Knicks average slightly more points. Spurs average slightly more rebounds. The Knicks average slightly more assists. This is very even, right? If you look at it position by position, like point guards, the Knicks have a better point guard, obviously, in Jalen Brunson. I'll take him over De'Aaron Fox or Dylan Harper. No offense to those guys. I like those guys. They're explosive. They're very fun. But Jalen Brunson is a top 5 point guard in the game for sure. And then if you look over at shooting guard position, I would say it is probably right now Stephon Castle versus who would be the Spurs shooting guard? Bridges, maybe? Bridges, probably. I would take Castle, slightly, definitely. No offense to Bridges again, but, like, Bridges is a good player, but, like, I think Castle is more explosive offensively. If you look at small forwards, Anunoby compared to Vassell, Anunoby for sure. Power forward, Champagny versus Josh Hart. Champagny, after the game that he had last time, I think Josh Hart's a better overall player. But I think based off of what he did last game, I think Champagny will have a great series. And then center, obviously, Cat's really good. Cat is a very good center, but he's not Wemby. Wemby's the best player in the game as of right now. He's the best player in this series. He is. Wemby is definitely the best player in the series. Brunson's a close second, but Wemby is the best player in this series. I think the best player in the series, but you can make an argument that Jalen Brunson is the best player in the series. I mean, you can make an argument. I would not. They're pretty even, I would say, but I'll give Wemby the slight edge right now because of what he does at both ends of the ball. Obviously, Brunson, I would say, is probably is a more elite scorer, But if you look at Wemby, what he does in the paint, he can dominate the paint on both ends of the floor. The rim protection that he has, the ability to scare people out of the paint. The Knicks are going to have to chuck up some deep shots because they can't go to the paint when Wemby's on the floor. You can't do that. That closes off Brunson's shooting lane a lot when it comes to the paint area. His rebounding ability, his physicality, and he can still score at a very high level. I think all of that combined, and just the bodies that it takes to stop him, is a big factor, man. And I think with all of that being said, of what he does both ends of the ball and everything that he does, I think he will be the best player in the series. And I think that does play a factor into this. And I think if you look at game one, and you could say, well, Jalen Brunson's like clearly has great leadership and he can lead the team as the point guard. He can be a facilitator. But you could say the same thing for De'Aaron Fox. He's a veteran. He's been in this situation before. Maybe not quite the finals because he's played in Sacramento, to be fair. But like he's been in these situations before. He's a veteran. He's been in big moments before, and he could really settle the game down and facilitate. They got a couple of young guns off the bench, and Keldon Johnson and Dylan Harper. They also got Stephon Castle, who can also, if he can limit his turnovers, I think he's really good. But he just needs to stop turning over the ball, and that could also play a factor into the Knicks of Stephon Castle turning over the ball because of how much he does turn over the ball, and it's a very unhealthy amount. Better make this right here. I didn't make that. I went off the front. I'll pick it up in a second. But yeah, I mean, like, you think about it like this, like, the Spurs have a veteran point guard. They have a great two guards coming off the bench. They have a great shooting guard who needs to limit his turnovers. A couple of great players outside of that, and Champagny and Vassell. You know, and then obviously arguably the best player in the world in Victor Wembanyama. And they're deep. Cornette had a great game 7. Obviously that block that was obviously huge. And just like, you know, they have a deep team, but if you want to talk about the Knicks, man, like they're well rounded. Like top 5 point guard in the game, arguably top 3 point guard in the game, and Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Anunoby, who do it all. Rebound, they're physical, they sling the rock, they know the rules. Especially Josh Hart, I'm looking at, he does everything. Right, Anunoby, he's been shooting lights out these postseason. He's been really getting that extra secondary scoring that they need outside of Jalen Brunson. And obviously, if you're excluding Cat, talk about Cat, he can really spread the floor. He's gonna take Wemby out of the paint, because he needs to guard Cat in the perimeter. And if you don't, he's gonna drain threes. If you do, it takes Wemby out of the paint, and that allows players like Brunson and Anunoby and Hart and Bridges, etc., to really exploit that paint. So if Cat's on the floor, you can see that paint open up slightly more. Everybody knows their role. They're deep. Also, like Shaman had a great series last series, and as well as other people coming off the bench. This team's deep as well. They know their roles. They execute. Both of these teams are very even when it comes to like built very well. And I think what really gives me the edge is Victor Wembanyama and what he does. I think they'll be able to find a way to slow down Cat from the perimeter and also have Wemby near the paint. But I think what really gives me the edge is home court advantage. I think it really does. And I think this could really come down to, is Cat going to be able to hit his shots? Is Cat going to be able to use his shooting ability and make the Spurs have to come out and challenge him, make them scared of his shot to allow Wemby to come out of the paint and allow Brunson and Bridges and Anunoby to exploit the paint with Wemby outside of it? Because if he can't, Wemby's going to sit in the paint. If he can hit his shots and Wemby has to is forced to come out and challenge him, that's going to open up the Knicks' scoring ability. And I think that's really what the series comes down to. He's going to have to run through Cat and Jalen Brunson. Cat has to hit his outside shots, and Jalen Brunson has to be smart. He has to make good decisions, and he cannot force the ball, and he has to can't turn over the ball. He cannot turn over the ball. And I also think it really comes down to also Stephon Castle not turning over the ball. He has a turnover problem. He cannot be doing that. There's a few keys, I feel like, to the series that we really need to be watching out for, and I think what really comes down to is home court advantage. I really think that's the tiebreaker for me. I think Wemby, the will to win for the Spurs that I've witnessed a lot, and home court advantage. I think those are the 3 things that really get me to lean towards the Spurs here. And I don't think the Knicks will go home in the home court. I'm going to give the Spurs in 7 games. I was leaning Knicks Spurs in 6 for the past like probably like week. Or ever since the finals got announced, the Spurs won, I guess. So yeah, about last few days. But as I really start to think about this, I really think Cat, if he can hit his shots, which I think he will be, that's gonna, again, like I said, Wemby's not gonna be able to sit in the paint. That's gonna open up players like Jalen Brunson to have easier shots, and Anunoby and Bridges and Hart to exploit the paint. And I think that's gonna win him a couple of games just like that. I think how deep and the Knicks are and how good the ball movement is, and I think it's really gonna get these young Spurs team. It's gonna get them out of the comfort zone a couple of times, and it's a different team. It's a way different team than the Thunder, and I think it's gonna get them at least a couple of times, especially how Rock in New York and MSG is gonna be when it comes to MSG for Game 3 and 4, and Game 6 in my opinion. I think it'll go there for sure, and I think the Knicks will give them a big time run for the money. I seriously do, but I just think the Spurs, the Wemby effect, their will to win, how confident they are. I think they have a phenomenal coach. I think they're deep, and I think the home court advantage thing also plays a factor into this. So give me the Spurs in 7 is my final take. That is that. Let's go to the NBA transactions. There's only 2. It's pretty simple. Mosa Diabate, power forward from Charlotte, fully guaranteed $2.46 million salary for 26-27, 1-year contract extension. I think it's a good deal. He was pretty good last year. I say why not, you know? Why not? Let me throw this away real quick. Hold up. Get back. Why am I on my Xbox again? What the shenanigans? Hold up. Okay, we're locked in. And then also, Igardo, I don't know who that is, to be honest. Phoenix fully guaranteed $2.3 million contract salary, 1-year extension. I actually do know who that is. He was actually pretty decent. He came off the bench last year. He's pretty decent. But okay, we're gonna go back to full screen so I can transition. Transition. WNBA standings. Let me refresh. I don't even know what the Commissioner Cup is. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah. Is that the NBA Cup thing? Let me see. WNBA Commissioner Cup explain. Never mind, my phone isn't loading, so I don't think we ever know. Okay, never mind, it's loading. An annual in-season tournament where designated regular season games count toward a separate cup standings table. Like the NBA Cup, question mark? That'll be a question right there. Okay, so it's exactly like the NBA Cup, but with a few distinct structural differences. In fact, the WNBA actually created the Commissioner's Cup first in 2021. Yeah, I know. I assume so. They have a knockout bracket. Commissioner's Cup, no knockout bracket. Teams simply play every opponent in the respective Eastern or Western Conference exactly once during the considered 2-week, condensed 2-week window in June. The top team from each conference bypasses elimination rounds, goes straight to the championship. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's like a mini playoff, but round robin instead of like bracket. Oh, did you hear that crack in my elbow? Oh my god. Okay, let me make sure my OBS is actually working. Why the heck is it so laggy? As long as my stream isn't laggy, always let me know if my stream's lagging. Like always, like I'm actually like, just let me know for real. I'm gonna turn that down like that. Turn this up.